Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sober School, where you can always find experience, strength, and hope. My name is Drew. I am an alcoholic through and through. We want to welcome you to this platform here today, regardless of what your addiction may be. You're absolutely welcome here. We support your pathway to recovery, and whichever pathway it is that you choose, well, we are here to help, and we definitely want to make sure that it works for you. If you're watching this through our Recovery Classroom Facebook group page, we want to welcome you to this group. This is a private group, by the way, so we maintain anonymity. We also want to encourage you to share your own experience, strength, and hope, and your own words of wisdom. You never know who needs to hear or what it is you might have to say. And it could just change someone's life, including your own. Last night's CrossTalk meeting, wow, man, it was probably, in my opinion, for what it's worth, the best CrossTalk meeting I think we've had in, 7-8 weeks of doing this or something like that. It was just incredible, and the topics came in, just the topics of discussion and the way the conversation, the dialogue was moving along. It was absolutely everything I could have ever hoped for. So I want to thank all of you guys for coming out last night. And we had a lot of people there too. There's a lot of people there. One of the topics that came in that we didn't get a chance to discuss is instant gratification. I am notorious for having that need, that desire for instant gratification. Think of a scratch-off lottery ticket, right? We buy a scratch-off lottery ticket, we scratch it off, and we know pretty much immediately if we won or lost. And in my case, usually I'm losing ridiculous amounts of money, but we have that immediate gratification, and our lives are like that too. We get conditioned, we get used to having that immediate gratification, that immediate settlement, that immediate result that we're seeking. And the reason why it's such a problem for me anyway, and I had this conversation just yesterday, I was just telling another alcoholic yesterday morning that this is one of my biggest problems. I put a God of my own understanding, I put him in charge of driving my vehicle, driving my life, car, if you will, right? And sometimes things will happen, and while I put him in charge, I clearly have said, God, you got to take care of this. I put him in charge, but then I expect him to deliver on my timetable. He's the one driving the fucking car. He's the one determining how fast we're going to get from point A to point B. All right, but yet I expect him, to deliver on my timetable. It doesn't work like that. It's like you and I getting in the car and I saying, nope, you're going to drive from point A to point B, and you say, okay, and you start driving. Then I say, well, you know what? You're not driving fast enough. I need you to hurry up and get there. That instant gratification is sometimes one of the biggest character defects that I can think of that I have myself. And it even now, again, I'm almost 2.5 years in, and even now it's still something I work on. I have to work on a daily basis. Just earlier this week, I had to pray and say, God, you got to take care of this. And, it was late at night. I clearly remember saying, Lord, you're just going to take care of this. And I got up the next morning, and here I am thinking about it. Well, maybe I do this, maybe I do that. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. Because I turned it over to him. If I truly turn my will and my life over to the care of a God of my own understanding, I've got to let that God work. I can't put him in the driver's seat and then tell him to get the hell out of the way and let me drive the car. Because every time I get behind a vehicle, every time I get behind the wheel, I'll run us into a ditch. And then be like, hey, God, can you get us out of the ditch again? So instant gratification is definitely a character defect that I want to encourage you to be on the lookout for. So remember, he's got his own timetable. We're in the back seat. We're just along for the ride. Integrity and honesty. Those are two important topics to me, especially to me. I had no integrity whenever I was drinking. I couldn't even be honest with myself. I'd sit and lie to your face and then try to lie to myself. And the difference is you may not have known I was lying to you, but I knew I was lying to me. I knew I was lying to you too. And in getting sober, one of the most rewarding things for me was learning how to be honest with myself, because I didn't have to carry around the guilt of lying to anybody. I didn't have to carry around the guilt of lying to myself, trying to convince myself of some sort of bullshit. Oh, Drew, you drank, you need to drink, have a drink because of this. Well, I knew it was bullshit. Just didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to accept that it was bullshit. So it was easier to accept, the lie than it was to fight for the truth. And that's where we start stepping into integrity. You know, integrity is doing the right thing even when people aren't there to witness us doing the right thing. And, you know, going back to that immediate gratification, some people do stuff, and I see this all the time on Facebook. They'll be like, let me give money to somebody, on the streets while I'm Facebook live streaming it. That's not integrity. You're doing it. That's immediate gratification. You're hoping somebody's going to be like, "Oh wow, you got such a good heart on you." That doesn't show integrity. That shows dumbassedness. That's what that shows. I don't know if that's a word or not. So, dumbassedness. You know, integrity for me it means doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. That's what it all comes down to. Whether I'm in front of the Pope, or whether I'm in front of the people, whether I'm in front of whoever, I'm always going to try to do the right thing, because we have that saying in the rooms: always do the next right thing. If you can't do the next right thing, do the next thing right. For years, I spent doing everything wrong. I got tired of carrying that burden around, and I finally was able to drop that burden off the side of the road and say, Lord, you're going to take it from here. So honesty and integrity are very important pieces of our recovery, very important pieces of my life anyway. And again, going back to the honesty thing, man, it's just a lot easier to be honest, because I don't have to keep track of all the lies I've told. I don't have to get caught up in any lies, because if I'm always telling the truth, shit, I don't have to worry about anything, right? And it's really just so liberating to know that I don't have to carry around all this extra baggage of all the lies and all the bullshit stories, all the made up stories. I don't have to keep my story straight, because the truth doesn't need untangling. The truth is its own story. So honesty and integrity, to me, those go hand in hand. And the last topic that came in that I really, and all these kind of building up to, principles before personalities. When I read that and I saw that card, I was like, well, here we go. I've been trying to avoid it for a long time, but I don't think it's going to happen. And it maybe not in this particular video, but principles before personality. We know that statement from the 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, before somebody goes and gets offended, I encourage you to have your sponsor on speed dial. All right. I am an absolute proponent of AA. AA was the only thing that worked for me. The 12 steps were the only thing that worked for me. The 12 steps, as Bill Wilson wrote them in 38 and published them in 39, that's what worked for me. That was the only thing out of everything. That was the only thing. That being said, the AA traditions, well, that's something different for me. That is something different. I respect the traditions. I respect people who practice those traditions. That's their beliefs. That's up to them. But don't go trying to force your beliefs and your opinions and your perspectives down my throat, because I promise you that won't happen. That will not happen. And there's been several people already who have found that out. Principles before personalities. So we're supposed to practice the principles of AA, at least within the context of AA anyway. Again, not pushing one pathway over another. We're supposed to practice the principles and put the principles before our personalities. How do we know if we're doing that? For me, it's very simple. If I put my personality first, then I'm only worried about my personality. I'm only worried about what I'm going to get out of it. But if I put my principles first, then I'm worried about what other people are going to get out of it. So if I have a disagreement, which I tend to do as far as the traditions go, if I have a disagreement with somebody over a particular tradition or a particular way of doing something, recovery related, my first thought is, okay, am I trying to feed my own ego? Is that why am I trying to be a right fighter and prove why I'm right? Because if that's the case, then I'm putting my personality in front of my principle. But if I'm trying to make a point and make a statement on behalf of the good of other people, well, then to me, I'm putting a principle first, not my personality, not my own ego. And to me, that's the difference of placing principles before personalities. And I think this is going to warrant its own separate video, so maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I don't know. We got the QA meeting this morning. So anyway, With that being said, I will let you guys go. Again, thank you guys for coming out to the CrossTalk meeting last night. It was incredible. Had an absolute blast, and in my opinion, one of the best we've ever had. So I want to thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys, absolutely keep me sober. Could not be more appreciative. We'll talk again soon, guys. Remember, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.